Hey, what's up everyone? Vince Nero here from BuzzStream. And today I wanted to talk about email outreach, specifically why your emails are not getting read, why you're not getting links, why they're not getting opens, and why they're not hitting inboxes. So let's get into it. So a few months ago on Upwork, I saw a job opening, someone looking for help getting their emails into inboxes. I was never able to find out who it was. The job has since closed, but I figured I'd take a stab at answering this for this person in hopes that someday they'd see this video, or hopefully I could help you who might be having the same problem. The actual job listing was talking about having trouble hitting inboxes. Now, this is a very specific problem, and I'm going to get into more reasons that your emails might not be getting read or sent or clicked on. But let's start at the very top and let's talk about why your emails might not be hitting an inbox. So this to me sounds like a spam issue and a sender reputation issue. So sender reputations are really important. Google has recently been putting out new spam requirements for websites as of February 2024. They're actually starting to hit some websites, these bulk senders they call them, who are trying to send a lot of emails without the proper authentication. I have a whole post and video that gets into the specifics because there's some technical stuff. But one of the things I really wanted to mention here is the spam rate. So Google qualifies what they call bulk senders as people who send over 5,000 emails to personal Gmail accounts within a 24-hour period. Again, 5,000 emails within a 24-hour period to other Gmail accounts. Now, if you qualify as that bulk sender, you have to keep your spam level 0.1 to 0.3%. So you can't go over 0.3%, otherwise the emails are going to come back to you. So you might not know what your spam level is. You can actually check your sender reputation using Google's Postmaster tools. Just go to the URL listed in the show notes, pop in your domain, and it'll tell you. So again, you want to keep that under that 0.3% spam level. Okay, so let's dig a little deeper. Say you're hitting inboxes, but people aren't opening your emails. There's maybe one of three issues here. The first is you're just not hitting the right people. So relevancy is such a huge thing when you're talking about email outreach. And it's so important that the Muckrack study recently came out to say that it's the number one reason journalists reject email pitches because the pitch isn't relevant to them. So it's really important that when you're reaching out to people, you're reaching out to relevant people. Ties into the spam thing, but let's get into like specific ways that you can tell if you're relevant or not. So I like to think of it from just like a macro level here is like, topically, does the target site write about the same stuff that you're writing about? If so, that's a nice match. Does the target site rank for some of the same keywords that you do? You could use a tool like Ahrefs, go to their site explorer and look at the top ranking keywords. That's a good quick way to tell. All right, so maybe you're reaching out to the right site, it is relevant, but they're still not opening. Maybe you're reaching out to the wrong person. Now, I did a whole video on how to find someone's email addresses, so I'm not going to recap all that here. I'll just link to it above. But I do want to point out a few things. Always reach out to a person specifically. Try to avoid the info at or contact at email addresses. People just don't read those. As much as I like to say that they do and like to think that they do, I sometimes use those as backups. But realistically, people aren't looking at those as commonly, especially on huge sites. One of the things I like about BuzzStream is that when you're prospecting a site, it'll pull in contact information automatically, so you know that you could hit the right people. You can even use Hunter to kind of like extend BuzzStream's capabilities. So if you have a Hunter account, you can integrate those two, and it'll look and try to find even more contact info if BuzzStream isn't pulling it in that initial pass. And if those two aren't working, you really need to just dig a little deeper. X is helpful. Twitter, like looking on people's bios. A lot of people put it there. You could also do some fancy Google searching to find the email addresses if they've ever talked about it on an X post. In Facebook, usually for like bloggers, I'd say they tend to put their email addresses in the about section. There's also some tools that sync with LinkedIn. If you're looking at a specific person, like in the B2B space, in the SaaS space, you're going to find emails listed on LinkedIn. If people want to be found, they make it fairly easy to be found. All right, so if you know you're reaching out to the right person, but you're still not getting opens, it might be a subject line issue. So for that, let's go to Hannah Smith. So one of the things Hannah said to me in our podcast was that she actually drafts over 25 email subject lines every campaign that she sends, just to get the perfect subject line that she really knows is going to have an impact. Now, some quick best practices for subject lines. When I was with Siege, when we did blogger outreach, we found that adding the site name within the subject line was actually helpful for open rates. Reboot Online, a UK digital PR agency, did a subject line case study on our blog, and they found that using buzzwords like celebrity names or top events actually increased the open rates. So that's something to consider. And the last thing I'd say is when you're pitching journalists, use your post headline and kind of rework it that way. What you're really doing is trying to pitch the story in that subject line. So if your story is about 25% of people are scared of the dark, make sure you put that in your subject line. All right, so let's say you've confirmed this is the right site. You're reaching the right person. Your subject line is getting clicks. People are opening it, but for some reason they're not clicking on the link. Then it becomes an email body problem. What's the email pitch? If we're talking about blogger outreach, I like to throw a personalized line in there. And I need to caveat this because there's a lot of confusion around what personalization means. I specifically try to pull out something, a unique stat or something from an article that I read to really comment on it and show that I've read it. You don't want to force it. You don't want to lie. You don't want to make something up and say that you read it when you didn't really. That's the only way this works. But if you really want to link, you can give the 5 minutes it takes to read an article, I believe. Journalist outreach is a little different. Journalist outreach, I don't think they care as much about the personalization. Some might. If you have the time to do it, I feel like it's a good addition. But if you don't have the time, I would maybe save it for some of the smaller journalists, maybe a local journalist who doesn't get pitched as often. The larger publications, your New York Times, Wall Street Journals, they're getting pitched constantly. I don't think they care that you've read their previous articles. So that's something you could probably do on a case-by-case basis. All right, so what if your pitch is on point, your subject line is on point, you're reaching the right person, you're reaching the right site, everything's great. Honestly, sometimes it's just luck. You can't always hit every single time. It might be a timing issue. There might be a major current event. Who knows what's going on at every company that you're pitching to? One time I asked a journalist for some feedback as to why they opened this pitch versus a previous one I sent. And they said, honestly, I don't even know why. I was just there and I just happened to click on it. Normally, I probably wouldn't have clicked on something like that. So that's not helpful at all, but it does give you some insight. These are just people on the other side of the email, right? So again, sometimes it's just luck. As long as you're doing the right stuff, you're going to put yourself in the best position to succeed at email outreach. And that's kind of all we can do at that point. So I'll leave you with 4 little things here. Don't get too bogged down on the details. At the end of the day, what we're trying to do is just connect to another person. Ask yourself, if I was sent this email, would I open it? Would I read it? Would I take action on it? And try to get as laser focused as you can and pitch to a person. So hopefully whoever posted that Upwork job, you've seen this and it's helpful for you. For everybody else out there, if you ever have any questions about why your pitches aren't getting read, hit me up. I'm very accessible on Twitter. Hit me in the comments, LinkedIn, any of that stuff. Good luck out there.